Hey everyone, this is a Beacon Learning video. Today we'll be learning how to set up a local WMP proxy and connecting it to the Beacon Excel add-in. This is very useful when trying to debug user-defined functions that you want to call via Excel, as it allows you to make changes without having to commit and deploy the code. This is part of the Excel add-in series, and as a prerequisite, please see the video for setting up your Beacon Excel add-in in the links below. Today we're going to cover running the WMP proxy locally in your IDE, linking the Excel add-in to the locally running WMP proxy, and demonstrating how to quickly make changes to a user-defined function. Okay, let's get started with running the WMP proxy locally. In the IDE, let's search for the file wimp/proxy.py. This file contains the same WMP proxy process which is running in your Beacon environment. See our video on how to set up the WMP proxy for more information. Shell 0 is going to be running the WMP proxy, so let's also create a second shell. We can use the second shell for debugging locally. If we interrupt shell 0, then our WMP proxy will be killed. Let's go back to shell 0. Let's do a Control F9 to execute the WMP proxy script. The tab that opens up is not needed. Feel free to ignore or close it. Now we see that there is some output in the shell. We need to copy part of the string so that we can point our Excel add-in to the address of this locally running WMP proxy. Take this string after the https yourdomain.wsq.io and copy it. Next, let's go to Excel and point the Beacon Excel add-in to the locally running WMP proxy. First, let's see where the Beacon add-in is pointed to by default. Type wst API URL. We see that it is pointed to the default location for a WMP proxy running in your environment. This is the location of the WMP proxy already running in your Beacon environment. We need to switch over to the new WMP proxy which is running in our shell 0. Paste in the local WMP proxy address, type wst API endpoint change, and reference the cell with the local WMP proxy address. After you execute this function, you can check and see the WST API URL will also resolve to this new URL. So now we have hooked up our Beacon Excel add-in to our locally running WMP proxy. As a quick test, let's type wst call and pass in os.getPID. Great, this returned. Now let's go back to the IDE. We can see that the logs are coming into shell 0, which is a good indication that we are correctly hooked up to the locally running WMP proxy. In this last part, let's define a new function and see how easy it is to call it in Excel. Open a new file, Alt-N, create a function. I will copy and paste it here. This function is called Excel Local. It takes in a name and a value, and all it does is concatenate them. It is important to note that since we are running a local WMP proxy, we don't need to commit and deploy the code. We can simply save the file and our local WMP proxy will have access. Let's save the file as demo local WMP. Alt-Shift-I to copy the path. Let's go back to Excel and call the function. wst call plus the path that we copied plus Excel local. After we execute the call, we can see that an error returned. Let's take a look in the shell and see what happened. Let's go back to the IDE. The logs in shell 0 show that we're missing two required positional arguments, name and value. Back in Excel, let's add these two arguments. Reference these in the function call. Great, it worked this time. Let's head back to the IDE. Take a look and see the WMP proxy logs have captured the user, the function call, plus all the function arguments. This is very helpful in the debugging process. Another thing we can do is to quickly iterate over functions. Let's paste in a more complex version of this function and save it. This function adds a range to the concatenation. Back in Excel, we can run the function. We see another error, so let's check the logs in the IDE. It tells us that we are missing one required positional argument called range1. So let's head back to Excel and put in our range. Perfect. Now our call worked correctly. This demonstrates how much faster you can iterate over your Excel functions by using a local running WMP proxy. This should speed up development time for your Excel functions dramatically. This concludes the local WMP proxy video. If you're interested in related topics, such as creating user functions in Excel or calling beacon functions from VBA, please see the links below. Thanks for watching.